Everyone is aware of what happened in Ramayana and how the incarnation of Bhagwan Vishnu, Sri Ram, had to suffer separation from his beloved wife, Devi Sita, and how, with the help of the army of monkeys led by generals like Hanumanji, Sugriv, Angad, and Nal Neel, he defeated Ravan and rescued Devi Sita from his captivity. There is an interesting story in Shiv Puran that gives us the backstory behind the incidents that happened in Ramayana. Why did Sri Ram and Devi Sita have to suffer that fate? Why did he have to seek help from the army of monkeys to rescue his wife? We will narrate the story in 3 parts. In the first part of the story, we will find out how Narad Muni started believing that he had won over all his senses and defeated the god of desire, Kamdev, with his willpower. Let's get on with part 1 of the story of Narad Muni's curse. Once upon a time, the mind-born son of Brahmadev, Narad Muni, decided to perform a great penance. There was a cave on the Himalayas near the divine river Ganga. Around the cave was a divine hermitage which was full of positive energy. When Narad Muni saw this cave, he was very happy and decided to stay there for his great penance. He sat on a stone inside the cave, closed his eyes, and started praying. His penance went on for many years. When the king of gods, Indra, found out about this, he got worried. He started thinking, why would Narad Muni go through such a hardship? The only answer he could come up with was, maybe Narad Muni wanted the divine throne of heaven for himself. Led by this insecurity, he decided to do something to break Narad Muni's resolve and stop him from attaining the divine throne. Indradev summoned Kamdev and gave him the task of enticing Narad Muni into breaking his resolve. Following the instructions of Indra, Kamdev went into the cave, accompanied by Spring, and decided to use his powers on Narad Muni. Kamdev tried his best to invoke multiple desires in the mind of the great Rishi. However, none of his tricks had any effect on Narad Muni. The place where Narad Muni was performing his penance was the same place where Mahadev had won over Kamdev and had burnt him to ashes using his third eye. After all the gods and Kamdev's wife, Rati, pleaded persistently, Mahadev brought him back to life. But since then, there was no effect of Kamdev's powers at that sacred place. So the real reason Kamdev could not break Narad Muni's penance was because of the power of Mahadev. Kamdev failed in the task given by Indradev and eventually went back to Devlok. Narad Muni continued his penance with the blessings of Bhagwan Shankar. After many years, when his penance concluded, Narad Muni thought that he had won over Kamdev and felt very proud of himself. In his arrogance, he failed to realize that the real reason Kamdev could not break his penance was due to the blessings of Shivji. Now filled with such false pride, Narad Muni decided to boast to everyone about his great achievement. He made his first stop at Mount Kailash to meet Mahadev. Mahadev welcomed Narad Muni and asked about his well-being. Without wasting a single breath, Narad Muni started talking about his great achievement of winning over his desires and defeating the god of desire Kamdev himself through his power and determination. After hearing such words from the mouth of the learned Naradji, Bhagwan smiled and said, "O Narad, you are so wise and deserve to be congratulated for this great achievement. However, take my advice and do not talk about this to anyone else, especially Narayan. Don't mention this in front of Sri Hari, because such achievements should be kept to oneself and not be bragged about. You are dear to me and a great devotee of Narayan. Keeping that in mind, I am advising you such." Narad Muni was so full of pride that he decided to ignore the advice from Shivji and went straight to Brahmalok. As soon as he saw his father, he spoke, "Father, I have won over Kamdev with my ascetic power." Brahmadev, knowing very well what was going on, congratulated Narad Muni on his great achievement, but gave him the same advice as given by Mahadev. He told his beloved son to keep this to himself and not talk about it to anyone, especially Bhagwan Vishnu. Naradji's mind was by now so full of pride that he stopped thinking properly. In this mental state, ignoring the advice from Bhagwan Shankar and his father Brahmadev, he headed straight towards Vaikunthalok to boast about his achievement in front of Vasudev. When Bhagwan Vishnu saw Narad Muni approaching, he stood from his place and embraced his beloved devotee. He had already sensed the motive that brought Narad Muni to Vaikuntha. He offered his seat to Narad Muni and asked, "O my beloved, it gives me so much pleasure to welcome you here. However, do tell me what purpose has brought you to my abode." As if Narad Muni was waiting for Sri Hari to ask this, he immediately started talking about how Indra had sent Kamdev to break his penance, and how, due to his great ascetic power and determination, Kamdev did not have any effect on him and failed to break his penance. Hearing his devotee talk like this, Bhagwan Vishnu replied, "O son of Brahma, you are great, you are wise, you are full of positive energy. You know that desires are the root cause of disappointments and sadness. You have kept yourself immune to all the worldly desires all your life. Kamdev cannot affect your resolve with his tricks." Listening to such praise from Sri Hari, Narad Muni's pride grew even further. He bowed in front of Narayan and said, "O dear God, when I have your blessings with me, what power can Kam have over me?" Narad Muni left Vaikunthalok with the name of Narayan in his tongue and filled with pride in his mind. The story does not end here. In the second part of this story, we will find out what Maya Sri Hari created to teach his beloved devotee a lesson.